This conference will now be recorded.
We'd like to call the caucus meeting of October 6th, 2020 to order at 7:47 p.m. Present are council members Broussard, Williamson, Limpert, Schuman, Glassburn, Heeman, and Kelly. Mayor Kennedy, our Director of Law, Human Resources Director, Planning and Development Director, our Finance Director, our Clerk of Council, and our guests this evening. First on tonight's agenda is, are there any additions or corrections to the caucus meeting minutes of September 15th, 2020? Seeing none, those will be approved as written. On tonight's agenda, we have 3 pieces of legislation that have been requested for suspension of the rules. All 3 are on second reading. We'll start with Ordinance 2020-101, a transfer ordinance. And Councilman Schuman, that was heard in Finance.
That was heard in Finance, and we discussed the possibility of suspending it, and I have no objection. Nobody on committee had objection. I'll be reporting out on it this evening too.
Madam President?
Yes,
this is
Director Copper.
This is Carrie. I believe that in the agenda packet last week, you were sent an amended version. So there's a couple of changes to it. So I would like to answer any of those questions tonight.
Yes, I believe Councilman Schuman will be making those amendments on the floor. Council members, any questions regarding the amendments? Seeing no questions, any objection to suspension? Seeing none, the next piece of legislation to be considered is Resolution 2020-105, a resolution authorizing the mayor to purchase computer products. And that was heard in, I believe, Councilman Kelly.
Yes. Yeah, it was in Recreation, Public Parks and Buildings. We discussed the need for suspension. It was agreed upon in committee and nobody had an objection, I don't believe.
Thank you. Any objection to suspension? Seeing none. The next piece of legislation to consider is Ordinance 2020-106, amending and reestablishing Chapter 167.99 of our administrative code in order to implement organization changes within the department and create a new position of building department coordinator. And that was heard in BZD, I believe. That piece was heard in BZD. Councilwoman Williamson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Gallo had updated the chart to conform to what Councilman Limpert and I had requested, so I see no problem with that. And I believe we're ready to go forward.
Thank you. Any objection to suspension? Seeing none. And the last piece to be considered for suspension of the rules this evening is Ordinance 2020-107 in order to establish the positions of Division of Building Coordinator, full-time and part-time, and the corresponding compensation for each, which I believe was heard then in Finance. Any objection to suspension? Seeing none, we will move on to committee assignments. On first reading resolution 2020-108 will go into Recreation, Public Parks and Buildings. Ordinance 2020-109 and Resolution 2020-110 will go into Finance. And Resolution 2020-111 will go into Streets and Transportation. And looking to schedule our committee meetings, we have a few for the next few weeks. So we will start with next Tuesday, October 13th. We have a public hearing scheduled for 7 p.m. Regarding Ordinance 2020-77, which is regarding the lot setback requirements for animal shelters used for chickens. And immediately following that meeting, we will need to schedule a BZD meeting, Councilwoman Williamson. Councilwoman, I'm sorry, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Should we estimate the time of the meeting for 15 minutes?
Yes,
Okay.
I think that's appropriate.
Okay, then we'll do 7:15.
Okay. And approximately how long, Councilwoman, do you want your meeting to go to?
Madam President, I think that maybe 15 minutes would be fine just to start, but anticipating that we may need more time, I just don't want to, use up a big block of time and then not have the participation that we may be anticipating. So if that's all right with the rest of council, then that's how I would like to proceed with that.
Thank you. And then I know that Finance, you're looking at scheduling for the next week, so I'm just going to keep continuing on the 13th for right now. Streets and Transportation, Councilman Limpert.
Yeah, I would need about 30 minutes to discuss 2020-111. Ms. Williamson, did you say 7 to 7:15 for yours?
She'll be ending at 7:30.
7:30, okay, so 7:30 to 8, and I'd ask that the planning director be there.
Thank you. And then Councilman Kelly.
Well, we schedule at 8 o'clock to discuss 2020-108 and ask that the mayor be there.
Thank you. And then looking at the following Tuesday, October 20th for Finance. Councilman Schuman.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm sorry. So what time? I can't imagine that either one of these are going to take a long time. What's appropriate?
If you think it'll take about within 15 minutes, 7:30 would be fine. We can caucus at 7:45.
Okay, let's do that then. 7:30. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Councilwoman Williamson.
Did it again. Thank you, Madam President. I would like to bring back the sign code legislation, which is 2078 and 79. But based on the amount of time that we had at our last committee, I would like to schedule this on a non-standard council night. And I'm looking at, I believe it's Wednesday, October 21st. I wanted to see what the consensus was of council, just to see maybe if we started at 7 and we left this as the lone piece of, we left this as the only item for our agenda to discuss. Perhaps maybe we can, go through Councilman Glassburn's list of suggestions and suggested amendments, and then answer any other additional questions that members of council may have.
Any objections to meeting on the 21st? Okay, seeing
Could
none.
we, Madam President, could we just make sure that the committee members would be available to attend, just so we can make sure we have a quorum?
Yeah, Madam President, I'll be present.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilman Schuman as well? Okay.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you so much.
All right, thank you. Okay, council members, is there any announcements or anything at this point? Seeing none, Mayor, is there anything from the administration?
No, Madam President.
Thank you. We will conclude our caucus at 7:58 p.m.